The awakening edge. The stars seemed unusually bright from the observation deck of the UES Thunderbolt. Commander Elena Reyes stood with her hands clasped behind her back, her dark eyes reflecting the distant pinpoints of light. At 42, she carried herself with the confidence of someone who had fought her way to command through merit rather than politics. Her close-cropped, silver-streaked hair and the thin scar running along her jawline spoke of a career spent on the frontier of human expansion. Beautiful, isn't it? Dr. Marcus Chen joined her at the viewport, his slender frame seeming fragile next to her military bearing. Hard to believe we're about to change humanity's place in the universe. Elena nodded without turning. If it works. It will work, Marcus insisted with the certainty only a chief scientist could muster. The quantum displacement drive has passed every simulation. The adaptive hull material exceeds all performance metrics. Thunderbolt is ready. Elena finally turned to face him. Theory and practice are different animals, Doctor. We're taking the most advanced ship humanity has ever built into completely uncharted space. The UN Space Command is betting everything on this mission. They're betting everything on you. Marcus corrected. I just built the ship. The Thunderbolt represented humanity's greatest technological achievement, a vessel unlike any other in Earth's modest fleet. From the outside, it appeared unassuming. A sleek, graphite-colored hull measuring just 320 meters long, roughly a third the size of standard UN battlecruisers. But appearances were deliberately deceiving. Commander, Lieutenant Sophia Diaz's voice came through the comm. Long-range sensors are detecting unusual gravitational fluctuations at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. Elena exchanged a glance with Marcus. On my way. The command center of the Thunderbolt was a model of efficiency, a circular arrangement of stations surrounding a central holographic display. The bridge crew worked with practiced precision, their movements economical and focused. Report, Elena ordered as she entered. Massive energy signatures, Commander, Sophia replied, her fingers dancing over her console. Nothing like we've ever recorded before. They're moving in formation, approaching from Sector 7. The holographic display flickered to life, showing dozens of objects moving in perfect synchronization toward Earth. Each signature was massive, the smallest dwarfing the largest human vessel ever constructed. First contact, Marcus whispered, his eyes wide with a mixture of scientific fascination and dread. Elena's expression remained impassive. Open a channel on all frequencies. Standard greeting protocol. For 3 days, they attempted communication while the unknown vessels continued their unwavering approach. On the 4th day, they received a response. The message came as a series of mathematical equations before resolving into perfect English, a demonstration of computational power that sent a chill through the command staff. Primitive species designation. Human. Your solar system resources now belong to the Krasar Dominion. Resistance is inefficient. Prepare for resource extraction and partial population preservation as labor force. Non-compliance will result in complete extinction. The message was followed by detailed specifications of the Krasar fleet, an unnecessary addition that served only to emphasize their technological superiority. Their smallest scout vessel possessed energy weapons capable of vaporizing the human city. Their shields could withstand nuclear impacts. Their propulsion systems bent space-time itself. It was not a threat. It was a statement of fact. They're showing off, Elena said quietly after reviewing the data, making sure we understand how outmatched we are. Human Space Command headquarters on Luna was thrown into chaos. Emergency meetings were called. Evacuation plans were drafted. Military assets were repositioned in a desperate attempt to mount a defense. Admiral Hiroshi Tanaka's weathered face filled the main screen in the Thunderbolt's conference room. The Security Council has reviewed all options, Commander Reyes. Conventional forces have no chance against this Krasar fleet. Elena nodded. I've analyzed their technical specifications. Admiral, they're advanced, perhaps 1,000 years beyond us in most areas. But they've made a critical mistake, which is, They've told us exactly what they have, and they're completely unaware of what we have. Elena gestured to a display showing the Thunderbolt's true specifications. The quantum displacement drive isn't just for faster-than-light travel. It can create localized space-time distortions. The adaptive hull doesn't just absorb energy, it can redirect it. Admiral Tanaka's eyes narrowed. You're proposing a direct engagement. One ship against their armada. One ship they know nothing about, Elena corrected. Their scans will show exactly what we want them to see, an unremarkable vessel with conventional technology. Meanwhile, Dr. Chen has identified weaknesses in their design based on the specifications they so proudly shared. Marcus nodded eagerly. Their ships utilize a form of synthetic biology. Living components merged with technology. It makes them incredibly adaptable, but introduces vulnerabilities to certain types of quantum disruption. Tanaka was silent for a long moment. The Thunderbolt was meant for deep space exploration, not combat. With respect, Admiral, Elena said, it was built to secure humanity's future. This is how we do that. 24 hours later, the Thunderbolt accelerated toward the approaching Krasar fleet. To human observers, the graphite-colored vessel seemed impossibly small against the backdrop of space, a minnow swimming toward a school of whales. The Krasar fleet has adjusted course, Sophia reported. 3 vessels have broken formation and are moving to intercept. Just 3. Elena allowed herself a small smile. They're not even trying to hide their contempt. The intercepting vessels were massive, each one resembling a metallic manta ray with crystalline structures growing from its surface. Pale blue energy pulsed through organic-looking conduits across their hulls. They're scanning us, Marcus confirmed from his station. The adaptive hull is working perfectly. They're seeing exactly what we want them to see. Standard titanium alloy construction, conventional fusion reactors, basic point defense systems. Elena nodded. Hold position. Let them make the first move. The Krasar didn't waste time on further communication. A brilliant beam of energy lanced out from the lead vessel, striking the Thunderbolt directly. The bridge crew tensed, but the ship remained intact. Hull absorption at 72% efficiency, Marcus reported with barely contained excitement. Energy redirection systems functioning perfectly. They just gave us enough power to run all systems at maximum capacity for 3 hours. Target the organic junction points on the lead vessel, Elena ordered. Prepare quantum disruptors. Hidden ports slid open along the Thunderbolt's hull, revealing weapons that had remained undetected by Krasar scans. The ship fired, not a beam or a projectile, but a precisely calculated distortion in space-time itself that lasted for mere milliseconds. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The targeted Krasar vessel didn't explode. It simply came apart as the quantum fabric holding its synthetic biological components together temporarily dissolved. The remaining 2 Krasar ships reacted instantly, firing a barrage of energy weapons. The Thunderbolt's hull glowed as it absorbed the attacks, redirecting the energy to its own systems. They're broadcasting to their main fleet, Sophia announced. Emergency communications. Elena nodded grimly. Now we have their attention. The main Krasar fleet halted its advance toward Earth. Dozens of vessels altered course, converging on the Thunderbolt's position. Phase 1 complete, Elena said. They no longer see us as irrelevant. Now for Phase 2. Marcus looked up from his console, his expression a mixture of concern and determination. Ready when you are, Commander. As the Krasar armada approached, the Thunderbolt seemed to shimmer, its outline becoming momentarily indistinct before the ship vanished entirely. The hunt had begun. Defiance Ascendant. Supreme Commander Varrock of the Krasar Dominion was not accustomed to confusion. His species had conquered 17 star systems with methodical precision, their technological superiority ensuring swift and predictable victories. Yet now, in the command chamber of his flagship, the massive alien found himself staring at sensor readings that made no logical sense. Explain, he demanded, his 4-fingered hand slamming against the control panel. His gray-blue skin flushed purple with anger, the ridges along his elongated skull pulsating. Sub-Commander Drevik hesitated, his elongated eyes blinking rapidly. The human vessel disappeared. Supreme Commander. Our sensors detected a localized distortion in spacetime then. Nothing. Impossible. No primitive species could possess such technology. Varroc's voice was a low rumble that seemed to vibrate through the chamber. Expand sensor range. Find it. Alarms blared suddenly as energy readings spiked. The Thunderbolt materialized directly behind one of the Krasar heavy cruisers, fired its quantum disruptors, and vanished again before the massive alien vessel had completely broken apart. Aboard the Thunderbolt, Alina gripped her command chair as the quantum displacement drive engaged again, shifting the ship through a folded pocket of spacetime to reappear 15,000 kilometers away. Displacement successful, Marcus announced, wiping sweat from his brow. Drive temperature within acceptable parameters, but we can't keep this up indefinitely. Each jump increases strain on the containment field. Elena nodded. Lieutenant Dias, status of the Krasar fleet. They're adapting, Commander, Sophia replied, spreading out in a search pattern. The disruption of 2 more of their vessels has triggered some kind of biological response in their fleet. Their hulls are changing. On the main display, the Krasar ships were indeed transforming. The crystalline structures were reconfiguring, forming new patterns that pulsed with energy. The organic components of their hulls were thickening, creating additional layers of protection. They're a collective intelligence, Marcus realized, studying the data. The ships are communicating on a cellular level, sharing information about the attacks and evolving in response. Then we need to hit them harder before they fully adapt, Elena decided. Prepare for simultaneous quantum firing solution. Target the 3 largest vessels in the formation. The Thunderbolt reappeared at the calculated coordinates, its weapons ports already open. This time, however, the Krasar were ready. A web of energy fields snapped into place around the targeted vessels, dispersing the quantum disruption before it could reach the vulnerable biological components. They've developed countermeasures, Marcus reported, his voice tight. Quantum disruption effectiveness reduced by 78%. Before Elena could order another displacement, a dozen energy beams converged on the Thunderbolt's position. The adaptive hull glowed white-hot as it struggled to absorb the concentrated assault. Hull absorption overloading. The engineering officer shouted. Systems at 142% capacity. We can't contain this much energy. Emergency displacement, Elena ordered. Random coordinates. Now. The Thunderbolt vanished just as the hull breach alarms began to sound. When they reappeared, warning lights flashed across every console on the bridge. Damage report, Elena demanded, brushing away a trickle of blood from a cut on her forehead. Hull integrity at 64%, came the response. Quantum displacement drive operating at reduced efficiency. We've lost starboard weapon arrays and primary sensor cluster. Elena studied the tactical display. The Krasar fleet was changing formation again, creating a 3-dimensional net designed to detect and trap the Thunderbolt regardless of where it might appear. They're learning too quickly, she murmured. Then, making her decision, open a channel to Earth. Emergency Protocol Omega. Admiral Tanaka's face appeared on screen almost immediately. We've been monitoring as best we can, Commander, the situation. The Krasar are adapting to our technology faster than anticipated, Elena reported. The Thunderbolt has inflicted significant damage, but we can't win this alone. It's time for Phase 3. Tanaka nodded grimly. Already in motion. Defense fleet is assembled and awaiting your signal. Elena raised an eyebrow. Defense fleet. We only have 47 combat-capable vessels in the entire Earth fleet. For the first time, Tanaka smiled. You're not the only one with secrets, Commander. Stand by for reinforcements. The communication ended, leaving Elena momentarily puzzled. But there was no time to dwell on it. The Krasar net was tightening. One more jump, she ordered. Take us to the center of their formation. Commander, Sophia questioned, shock evident in her voice. They're expecting us to keep running and hiding. Let's do the opposite and divert all accumulated energy from the hull to the quantum disruptors. The Thunderbolt made its final jump, materializing in the heart of the Quasar formation. Immediately, dozens of alien vessels began converging, weapons charging. Fire everything, Elena commanded. All directions. The Thunderbolt released all its accumulated energy in a spherical quantum disruption that expanded outward at near light speed. Caught unprepared for an omnidirectional attack, 7 Quasar vessels suffered catastrophic systems failures as the quantum wave passed through them. In the chaos that followed, the Quasar didn't immediately notice the new energy signatures appearing at the edge of the solar system. Commander, Sophia called out, her voice filled with wonder. You need to see this. The tactical display showed hundreds of new vessels emerging from what appeared to be artificial wormholes, ships of clearly human design, but unlike anything in Earth's known fleet. They were smaller than the Quasar vessels, but moved with incredible speed and precision. What are we seeing? Elena demanded. The answer came as a new face appeared on the communication screen. A sharp-featured woman with silver hair and the insignia of UN Black Operations. Commander Reyes. Director Keller, Special Projects Division. The Thunderbolt was never meant to fight alone. It was the prototype, the test case. While your mission has kept the Quasar occupied, we've launched the rest of the fleet. Elena stared at the screen. How many? 300 vessels, each incorporating variations of your quantum technology. Some specialized for offense, others for defense, all built in secret facilities throughout the solar system over the past decade. The human fleet moved with coordinated precision, targeting the disorganized Quasar formation. Unlike the Thunderbolt's approach of direct confrontation, these ships used swarm tactics, overwhelming individual Quasar vessels with multiple smaller targets. The Council authorized this, Elena asked, still processing the revelation. After the Proxima Centauri incident, Keller confirmed. We've known we weren't alone for longer than the public realizes. The Thunderbolt was our insurance policy. On Supreme Commander Verac's flagship, the atmosphere had shifted from confusion to alarm. 300 vessels. Verac growled. Impossible. Our intelligence indicated they possessed less than 50 combat-capable ships. These are different, Drevik responded, his voice shaking. They're using technologies similar to the first vessel, but with variations we cannot predict. Our adaptive countermeasures are ineffective against so many different attack vectors. Verac watched as another of his heavy cruisers succumbed to a concentrated assault from 20 human vessels, each one targeting different biological junction points with precision. The humans deceived us, he realized. They allowed us to detect their conventional fleet while hiding their true capabilities. For the first time in his long career of conquest, Verac felt something unfamiliar: doubt. The battle raged for 6 hours. The Quasar's initial technological advantage was gradually negated by the sheer adaptability of the human fleet. Where the Quasar evolved as a collective, sharing the same adaptations across all vessels, the humans employed dozens of different technologies and tactics simultaneously. The Thunderbolt, despite its damage, remained at the center of the conflict, coordinating the Earth fleet's movements through quantum-encrypted communications that the Quasar couldn't intercept. When Verac's flagship finally broke formation and began accelerating away from the solar system, 7 other Quasar vessels followed. Of the original invasion fleet of 83 ships, only these 8 remained functional. They're retreating, Sophia announced, disbelief evident in her voice. Elena nodded, allowing herself to relax slightly for the first time in hours. Track their course. Make sure they're actually leaving the system. Already done, Marcus confirmed. They're broadcasting some kind of message, not directed at us. It appears to be a warning to the rest of their species. What does it say? Elena asked. Marcus looked up from his console, a hint of a smile on his tired face. Roughly translated, Approach with caution. Humans, more dangerous than they appear. 3 days later, the Thunderbolt docked at the lunar shipyards, its battle-scarred hull a testament to humanity's first interstellar conflict. Elena stood before the United Nations Security Council, delivering her after-action report. The Kradzar underestimated us, she concluded. They assumed technological superiority equated to assured victory. They failed to consider that humanity's greatest strength has always been our capacity to innovate, adapt, and overcome. We don't evolve as a collective. We evolve as individuals, finding unique solutions to common problems. Admiral Tanaka nodded in agreement. The Thunderbolt proved the concept. Commander, your actions not only saved Earth but provided invaluable combat data that will inform our defense strategies moving forward. And the Kradzar? One of the council members asked. According to our long-range sensors, they've established a quarantine boundary at the edge of our solar system. Elena replied. They're warning other ships away from Earth. It seems we've earned their respect, or at least their caution. As the meeting concluded, Elena found Marcus waiting in the corridor outside. Not bad for an exploratory mission, he said with a tired smile. Elena shook her head. We both know the Thunderbolt was never just for exploration. No, Marcus admitted, but I didn't expect its first real test to be quite so dramatic. The Kradzar won't be the last advanced species we encounter, Elena said, looking out a viewport at the Earth hanging in the black sky. But they'll tell stories about us now. About the primitive species that wasn't so primitive after all. Marcus followed her gaze to the blue planet. Do you think they'll come back? Eventually, Elena nodded. But next time, they won't make the mistake of underestimating us. On the edge of the solar system, the remaining Kradzar vessels continued their retreat, broadcasting their warning to any who would listen. The humans appear simple, but they are anything but. Approach with extreme caution, or better yet, not at all.